order from a court is absolutely different. Being a lawyer and being an advocate is totally different. Being a lawyer is, you should have sound knowledge of law. And sound knowledge of law, I cannot, with 30 years of practice, I still don't claim to be a good lawyer. Because law keeps changing. You all know every day, newspapers, you are thorough with the newspaper news that is coming on. Every day law changes. And you know how the law changes by the time, which year are you, most of you? Fourth year, third year, fourth year? You know jurisprudence? You know what jurisprudence is? It's science of law. So law keeps changing. There are two basic different types of law. One is legislations passed by the legislatures. The other is precedents, judge-made laws. So, like, you have to be alert throughout as to whatever minor changes that is happening in law. So that way I cannot claim, even a person like me who has been in the profession for 30 years, you are not a complete lawyer. Because there are so many areas which you will not be familiar with. This morning when I was speaking to 2 or 3 co-speakers who had been with me, one was in the field of pharmaceuticals. When he came up with certain laws, I was also wondering, my God, inganeka niyamam undo? See, unless and until you are completely into, like, you have a case. Somebody comes to you, approaches with you with an issue. That is the time when you start searching. But unless and until you are thorough with your basics, you will not know where to look into. You might not know everything in the law book or in the statute, but you should be able to identify which is the area where I should look into. For that, you should be a good student. Which is the area which I have to look into. Another, the first, once a client approaches you, it should strike you. That is the advantage of having been a good student. Good student, again, does not mean CGPA 10 on 10. A good student means a practical approach to your studies. An average student, but with a high level of common sense, is good enough to be a good lawyer. So, study-wise, you have to be important that way. You have to be alert. You have to be updated about the legislations, changes in the legislations that's happening. You have to be updated about the precedents also. Judge-made laws, being law students, you will have access to judge-made laws. But then, otherwise also there are news, because, the clients, especially in Kerala, I'll just tell you that, the level of literacy is very high. The level of knowledge, the level of alertness, the level of awareness is absolutely high. You will hear a lot of politics being discussed, lot of laws being discussed. ഇത്രയും അധികം awareness ഉള്ള ഒരു സ്ഥലം, once you leave Kerala, you will realize people are not as aware as they are. So when a client comes to you, client ആദ്യം നമ്മളെ കുറേ നിയമം പഠിപ്പിക്കും. മാഡം ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഡിസിഷൻ അടുത്ത കാലത്ത് സുപ്രീം കോടതി പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്, for a moment I will be thinking, ദൈവമേ ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ സുപ്രീം കോടതി പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടോ? Because കുറച്ച് half baked ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും ഇവർ കേൾക്കുക. They will know only what the newspapers have reported. So it will not be as to the point as actually what the decision says. But they know something. So if you have to tell them this is not actually the way the Supreme Court intended, as what you want, so for that matter, right from a right from a client counseling, you have to be aware of what is happening in the country. Another important aspect. See, engineers, I'm not belittling any profession. Engineers, അവരുടെ professional എന്താ ഉള്ളതെന്ന് അറിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവർക്ക് അതുകൊണ്ട് മുന്നോട്ട് പോവാം. For medicine, whatever changes in the medical field, whatever changes in the medicines that has happened, pharmaceutical field, ഇതൊക്കെ അറിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവർക്ക് പുതിയ innovative methods വെച്ചിട്ട് പോവാം. But for a lawyer, you should know everything. Medical jurisprudence is one area which you will have to look into. Engineering is one area which you will have to look into. Because there was one case where I was appointed as an advocate commissioner because there was a building that was being built by a very well-known builder. And തൊട്ടപ്പുറത്തുള്ള വീട്ടുകാരും കുറച്ച് ഷോപ്സും, they complained that they are having, because of the piling, they are having cracks in their building. So I was like, they explained, the architect came and explained, the engineer came and explained, it was all Greek and Latin to me. So you wouldn't believe, I took the help of an expert from IIT Chennai, and then with the permission of the court, and with their help, I studied basic civil engineering and understood as to what are the times when cracks appear in a building, when piling takes place, the different types of piling. So you know something, those people who are familiar to Ernakulam city will know there is a major building that is Central Mall, it's called the Central Mall. That was built on the MG road with all the other buildings around without even a single crack on any of the buildings around. Without any litigation, they managed to complete that building. So that is engineering expertise. എന്നിട്ട് അവിടെ കേസ് വന്ന സമയത്ത്, പിന്നെ ലേറ്റർ വരെ കേസ് വന്ന സമയത്ത്, അതിന്റെ എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് എക്സ്പെർട്ടീസ് പഠിച്ചിട്ട് വേണമായിരുന്നു ആ ലോയറിന് കോടതിയിൽ ആർഗ്യൂ ചെയ്യാൻ. So it's not just plain law. When you explain something to the judge, you will have to have basic knowledge about what you are arguing. For example, medical negligence. There was another case which came to us. A medical negligence case where a child was brought to the hospital, and the child was complaining of vomiting, and the child was taken to the ICU immediately. Within about an hour or so, the child succumbed. The child died, and then there was a big hue and cry. And that the child was neglected, the child was not given attention immediately when the child was brought to the hospital. It's a medical negligence issue. And the doctors, we studied the case history with the doctors. And the doctors explained that the child had already developed a small clot in her brain. And the doctor said, perhaps the child has fallen down about 2-3 days back. And the parents are not in a position to explain about it to the doctors. So the doctors, when the child was brought to the hospital itself, they had asked the parents about the history of what has happened. So initially the impression given was it was some kind of food poisoning. Then the doctors went on for an investigation. And in the investigation process, they realized there was bleeding in the brain. And for a child of that age to develop a bleeding in that brain, the possibilities, one was fall, or second was hemorrhage. And a natural hemorrhage by a BP enhancement was not possible at that age. So these are all things which you have to rule out, for which you should have basic medical knowledge. Basic medical knowledge. You need not know anatomy, you need not know all those intricacies of it, but you should have basic medical knowledge. And then the doctors came to a conclusion that the child has had a fall. അതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് the child has developed a clot in the brain, which has reached the child to vomiting. ഇവർ ലാസ്റ്റ് സ്റ്റേജിലേക്കാണ് ഈ പേരൻസ് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നത്. And the parents were reluctant to mention that the child had had a fall and that was neglected by them. So this is a trail which we had to develop when we were cross-examining that person. And the 10th question, that father crumbled. And father cried. He wept in the box and said, "Satyathil kutti veendundairunnu, njangal adu athra serious aayittu eduthittundairunilla. Njangal pinneyaanu see കുറച്ച് പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ഒക്കെ കൂടെ വന്നപ്പോഴാണ് they wanted to develop it as a case, as a medical negligence against the hospital and all that stuff. So these ഇങ്ങനത്തെ issues വരുമ്പോൾ what I'm trying to tell you is, see, these are all areas where you will have to have an expertise in all fields, which only a lawyer can have. Which other professions will not demand. It's our professionന്റെ ആവശ്യങ്ങളാണ്. Whereas we have to handle people right from the grassroots level up to the corporate level. And we should be equipped well for that. That is the only, and we should be sensitive. Lawyers should be sensitive. Because I can give you a small example. Like actually there is a project which is the brainchild of one of the sitting judges of the Honorable High Court here, Justice Mohammed Mustaq. He is the one who introduced a project called the Victim Rights Center. A victim rights center, which we have, it has been taken over by the Kerala State Legal Services Authority. And that project, he initiated that in the year 2021. By now, it is going quite well. And you know what? The victim under the Victim Rights Center, we have framed guidelines also for it. Adile victim nu parayna term it is not victims of offense as we all think. Nammal crime inde victims nalle nammal ellarum vicharikunnu. A sexual offender, sexual assault il varuna victims, alladeyulla victims. No. Ee victim ne ee project അനുസരിച്ച് victim according to the circumstances of life. ലൈഫിൽ ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന പല സിറ്റുവേഷൻസിനും ഫേസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരുന്ന ഒരു വ്യക്തിനെയാണ് വിക്ടിം എന്ന് ഇവിടെ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്ത് കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. See, for example, I'll tell you, a few months back, perhaps about 6 months back, I don't know how many of you would remember that, 6 to 7 months back, a girl was stabbed to death in one of the campuses in Kottayam for having rejected usual love or something, like she was approached by a boy and then she said she was not in a position to maintain a relationship with him or something. He stabbed her to death in the campus. It was a big news at that point of time. And knowing the girl's background, she was the only child of a single mother who was struggling themselves to build a life. Now, for us, that mother is concerned, her life is lost. She doesn't have a husband. The only expectation in life was that child. And now the child has been gruesomely murdered. So for us, that mother is a victim. For the Victim Rights Center, that mother is a victim of circumstances of life. So now that mother was being taken because that mother needs psychological help. That mother needs legal help. Because ഈ കുട്ടിയുടെ മരണത്തോടനുബന്ധിച്ചിട്ട് ഈ അമ്മ ഒരു സാക്ഷിയാണ് കേസിൽ. കോമ്പൻസേഷൻ കിട്ടാനുള്ള പല പ്രൊവിഷൻസും കാണും. പിന്നെ അല്ലാതെയുള്ള മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങൾ അമ്മയ്ക്ക് എന്തൊക്കെ കേസുമായിട്ട് മുന്നോട്ട് പോകേണ്ട ആവശ്യങ്ങൾ, ഏറ്റവും വേണ്ടത് സൈക്കോളജിക്കൽ ഹെൽപ്പ്. സോ ദിസ് വിക്ടിം റൈറ്റ്സ് സെന്റർ, ഇറ്റ് ഫങ്ഷൻസ് ഓൺ 4 limbs. It has about few women lawyers as pro bono lawyers. We all function pro bono. ഞങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരും അതിനകത്തുനിന്ന് ഒന്നും കമ്മിറ്റ്മെന്റ്, ഒരു ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ ഇതും ഇല്ലാതെയാണ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. And then we have law students. I think law students, most of you law students, Dual has, GLC has, Ernakulam has, Bharat Mata has, SN has, കുറച്ച് സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനെ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് as volunteers for Victim Rights Center. Then we have the NGOs in the accredited NGOs who have been approved by the KELSA. Those NGOs we are making use of their social workers as well as their psychologists to help us to do this project. Then we have the Women's Commission. This is how that project works. And Risa, I can give you a few examples how we have been, functioning, which will help you to interest yourself more into coming into this profession. Recently, we had an issue where a father approached the High Court for police protection. For police protection, to see to it that his child is not a child means a boy of 9th standard is not being attacked in his school by his seniors. So the judge concerned found this slightly strange. So the judge called one of us, like me being the coordinator of the Victim Rights Center, she called me. So the judge was a woman judge, lady judge. She called me and she said, I'm finding slightly strange about this whole set of facts. So why don't you find out the actuals about it? So I said, I'll find out. And with the help of the District Legal Service Authority, we had an interaction with the child as well as with the father. And what we found was, poor child, the father is also, both of them have a very socially awkward background. Very socially awkward background. Both of them are living in an ostracized manner. Society. കുട്ടിക്ക് അമ്മയില്ല. അച്ഛൻ is a retired personnel, ഒരു service personnel. കുട്ടി കുറച്ച് മൂവീസിലും കുറച്ച് സീരിയൽസിലൊക്കെ ആക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. So the father has given him a celebrity status. Now the child genuinely believes he is on a celebrity pedestal. So the child is not in a position to interact with his fellow students properly. അവന്റെ വിചാരം അവന് കിട്ടേണ്ട അറ്റൻഷനും അവന്റെ കിട്ടേണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഡിഫറെന്റ്. സോ എനിത്തിങ് കുട്ടികൾ ഇപ്പോൾ തമ്മിൽ ഇടാപോടാന്നില്ലേ, that itself he goes berserk. And he says, they are violating my privacy, they are intruding into my privacy. അവർക്ക് ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ ഇല്ല, കുട്ടികൾ ഫുട്ബോൾ കളിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ ഇല്ല. So പാവം കുട്ടിക്ക് അറിയില്ല. So you can't blame the child. And the child apparently had a tiff with his senior students. So senior students എന്തോ പറഞ്ഞു അത് പിടിച്ച് മാറ്റി വെക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി വന്നിട്ടുള്ള മാഷെ പറ്റിയിട്ട് he gave a complaint on POCSO. So now the teacher is in trouble, the students are in trouble, and these people have come for a police protection, seeking police protection. Class പോണ സമയത്ത് police protection വേണം. So we started addressing the child. Kutti school പോണില്ല. Without police, the child will not go to school. And the police is not taking any action against the so-called teacher and the so-called students because they have come to assess the situation. You can't call it a fake complaint because intentions ഒന്നുമില്ല. Fake ആയിട്ട് എഴുതി കൊടുക്കാൻ intention ഒന്നുമില്ല. This boy and the father genuinely believe that things are like that. So it's a very strange situation. Fake ആയിട്ട് ഒരാളെ മാഷെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടിക്കണം എന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ട് ഫേക്ക് ആയിട്ട് എഴുതി കൊടുക്കുക അല്ല. ഫേക്ക് ആയിട്ട് എഴുതി കൊടുക്കണമെന്നല്ല. That boy actually believes that ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് കാര്യങ്ങൾ. Because that is a strange behavioral aberrational disorder that is being exhibited by that child. അറിഞ്ഞോ അറിയാതെയോ അച്ഛനും അതന്നെ അച്ഛന്റെ ഈ ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ് കൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ മകൻ അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So we found it very difficult. We interacted with the child. കുട്ടിക്ക് കുറച്ച് കൗൺസിലിംഗ് കൊടുത്ത് court gave a lot of patience. കോടതിയുടെ ഭാഗത്ത് നിന്ന് ഭയങ്കര പേഷ്യൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു. Without passing orders, at the same time giving the child a feeling of protection, a sense of security. ഞങ്ങളുണ്ട് കൂടെ. മോൻ പഠിച്ചോ, എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും മോൻ പഠിച്ചിട്ട് 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സിലേക്ക് ആവാൻ നോക്കും, എന്നിട്ട് നമുക്ക് വേറെ എന്തൊക്കെ ചെയ്യാം. നമുക്ക് മാഷയുടെ അഗേൻസ്റ്റോ കുട്ടികളുടെ അഗേൻസ്റ്റോ മോനെ ആരും ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടിക്കില്ല. So this is the kind of protection which the system has been giving to the child, and the child is slowly improving. So these are all small instances where lawyers, which perhaps doctors and or engineers or architects might not be able to give from a grassroots level. അവർക്ക് അവരുടെ അടുത്ത് വരുന്ന പേഷ്യൻസിനോ അവരുടെ അടുത്ത് വരുന്ന ക്ലയൻസിനോ മാത്രം ഡീൽ ചെയ്ത് പോവാം. നമുക്ക് അങ്ങനെയല്ല. നമുക്ക് ഭയങ്കര വൈഡ് റേഞ്ച് ഓഫ് പീപ്പിൾ ആണ് നമ്മൾ ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ ഒരു ദിവസം ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരുന്ന ജനങ്ങൾ ഭയങ്കര ഫ്രോം ഗ്രാസ് റൂട്ട് ടു ദ ഹയസ്റ്റ് ലെവലിലേക്ക് നമുക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യാം. DGP-നെ വരെ നമുക്ക് വിളിച്ചിട്ട് പറയാം. That is because the kind of knowledge that is expected from all of us is very wide. So professionally, be a good student when you are a student. Because that side of the life now nobody is going to achieve anything. You have to learn everything the hard way. Roller coaster up and down graph your life will be complete. I'm sure the GLC students will agree to it. Nuvals perhaps might not, because you have a more stricter or your curriculum is absolutely different. And the other colleges also, I think your faculty is more on you. So GLC, I'm sure, because we all have enjoyed our life there when we studied it. Happy to participate. Because ഈ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി നമുക്ക് കിട്ടുന്ന ഒരു ക്രോസ് സെക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് സൊസൈറ്റി ഈസ് ടോട്ടലി ഡിഫറെന്റ്. എല്ലാ ടൈപ്പ് ആൾക്കാരെയും കാണും, എല്ലാ ടൈപ്പ് മനുഷ്യൻ, എല്ലാ ടൈപ്പ് ആൾക്കാരെയും കാണണം. എല്ലാ ടൈപ്പ് ആൾക്കാരെയും കണ്ടാൽ യു ഷുഡ് ബി ഏബിൾ ടു ക്രോസ് എക്സാമിൻ. ഒരു പോക്കറ്റ് അടിക്കാരനെ ക്രോസ് എക്സാമിൻ ചെയ്യാനും അറിയണം. ഹീനിയസ് ക്രൈം ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള ഒരാളെ ക്രോസ് എക്സാമിൻ ചെയ്യാനും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറ്റണം. അങ്ങനെ ഒരാളെ ക്രോസ് എക്സാമിനേഷൻ, the art of cross examination again. I'm jumping from one subject to other because I have only a very short time and I am asked to tell you how the profession is, so that I should attract you all to this profession. So art of cross examination, once you intend to do your law profession, art of cross examination is a much later stage. Client dealing is very important. How you client counseling is very important. ഒരു ക്ലയന്റ് നിങ്ങളുടെ അടുത്ത് എന്തിനാ വരുന്നത്? അയാൾക്കൊരു പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടായിട്ട് വരിക. ചിലവർ പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി വരും. ഒരു പേഷ്യന്റ് ഡോക്ടറെ അടുത്ത് പോകുന്നത് സാധാരണ രോഗിയായിട്ടാണ് പോവുക. ചിലപ്പോൾ 10 മിനിറ്റ് സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഡോക്ടർക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവും രോഗമൊന്നുമില്ല, ആൻസൈറ്റി സിൻഡ്രോം കാരണം വരുന്നതായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ നമ്മുടെ അടുത്ത് മിക്കവരും വരുന്നത് വല്ല പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടായിട്ടായിരിക്കും. അപ്പൊ അവര് ഒരു സൊളസിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് നമ്മുടെ അടുത്ത് വരുന്നത്. Coming to us for a solace. So you understand their problem, give them a solution, don't give them tall claims. ഇപ്പൊ ശരിയാക്കി തരാം, എല്ലാം റെഡിയാക്കി തരാം, ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങളുടെ കേസ് ജയിച്ച് 100% കയ്യിൽ തരാം, അതങ്ങനെയല്ല. But don't tell them, hey, ഇതുകൊണ്ടൊന്നും കാര്യമൊന്നുമില്ല എന്നും പറയരുത്. So that balance you have to reach through experience. But tell them the കുറച്ച് receptive ആണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്ന clients explain to them how the law is. See, this is how the law works. In your case, this is how the law works. It might be, it depends on many factors. How the situation is, how the Supreme Court judgment is totally against you. Against your situation, against the Supreme Court judgment. Make him aware of that judgment, but I will try to distinguish that judgment for you in your case. I will try to tell me all the facts, give me all the facts. From that, I will try to discern and find out whether I can develop a good case. That is something, an art which you should develop. ഒരു കേസ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നു. നമ്മളൊരു കേസ് നുണ പറയല്ല, എല്ലാവരും പറയണം. വക്കീൽമാർ നുണ പറയില്ല. That's a very wrong notion. വക്കീൽമാർ ഒരു നുണയും പറയില്ല. They will disciplined interpretation of law. That is what is expected from a lawyer. Disciplined interpretation of a law. A law, you can always use it in your favor. You can use the same thing in another favor. I mean, against you also. For example, കോടതിയിൽ നമ്മൾ കോടതിയിൽ മൊഴി വായിക്കും. മൊഴി, you know what is deposition? That is when you are examined in the court as a witness, whatever that is you utter as a witness in the box is written down by the judge concerned or by the advocate commissioner who has been appointed by the judge. ആ മൊഴി തിരിച്ചു വായിച്ചു കൊടുക്കും. എന്നിട്ട് കേട്ടത് ശരി. എന്നിട്ട് അതിന്റെ അടിയിൽ the witness has to sign. മൊഴി വായിച്ച് കേട്ടത് ശരി. I have heard what I have said and it's right. Now this മൊഴി will be discussed in the appellate stage. This is at the trial stage. ട്രയൽ സ്റ്റേജ് കോടതി കേസ് തുടങ്ങുന്ന, ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു സിവിൽ കേസ് ആണെങ്കിൽ മുനിസിപ്പൽ കോടതികൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സബ് കോടതികൾ, ഹൈറാർക്കി ഓഫ് കോർട്സ് പഠിച്ചു തുടങ്ങിയോ നിങ്ങൾ? അത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ക്രിമിനൽ കേസ് മജിസ്ട്രേറ്റ് കോർട്ട്, സെഷൻസ് കോർട്ട്, അസിസ്റ്റന്റ് സെഷൻസ് കോർട്ട്, അപ്പലറ്റ് സ്റ്റേജസ് ഡിസ്ട്രിക്ട് കോർട്ട് ചില കേസിൽ അപ്പലറ്റ് ഇതുണ്ട്, ജൂറിസ്ഡിക്ഷൻ ഉണ്ട്, ഹൈക്കോർട്ടിലെ അപ്പലറ്റ് സ്റ്റേജിൽ വരും. ഹൈക്കോർട്ടിലെ അപ്പലറ്റ് സ്റ്റേജിൽ വരുമ്പോൾ when there is an appreciation of facts and law, you will have to read out that deposition at times. മൊഴി വായിച്ചു കൊടുക്കേണ്ടി വരും ജഡ്ജിന്. ഈ മൊഴി വായിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് you can read the very same മൊഴി in two different ways. ഞാൻ അവിടെ പോയ സമയത്ത് അയാൾ ആ ടോയ്ലറ്റിലേക്ക് സൂക്ഷിച്ച് കയറി പോകുന്നത് കണ്ടു. ഒരു ക്രിമിനൽ കേസിൽ ഞാൻ മൊഴി കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. ആ മൊഴി ഞാൻ വായിക്കുകയാണ് കോടതിയിൽ. When I went to that place, I'm translating it so that any children who are from out of the state will be able to understand. As and when I tried to get into the washroom, I saw that person stealthily getting into that washroom. അയാൾ സൂക്ഷിച്ച് ഇങ്ങനെ എല്ലാവരും ചുറ്റും നോക്കി അയാൾ ആ ബാത്റൂമിലേക്ക് കയറുന്നത്, വാഷ്റൂമിലേക്ക് കയറുന്നത് ഞാൻ കണ്ടു. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു നോക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിനൊരു ഫീലിംഗ് ഉണ്ട്, എന്തോ ഉണ്ട് അതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത്. അയാൾ മറ്റേ ആള് സൂക്ഷിച്ചും പാത്തും പതുങ്ങിയാണ് കയറിപ്പോയത്. ഞാൻ വാഷ്റൂം പോകുന്ന സമയത്ത് അയാൾ അവിടെ നോക്കിയിട്ട് പോകണുണ്ടു. ഇതേ കാര്യം എത്ര കാഷ്വലായി അത്, എത്ര കാഷ്വലായി വരാൻ. ഞാൻ വാഷ്റൂമിൽ പോയ സമയത്ത് അയാൾ അവിടെ വന്നിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ നോക്കിയിട്ട് നോക്കി അവിടെ ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ നോക്കിയിട്ട് കയറി പോകണുണ്ടു. ജഡ്ജിന് കിട്ടുന്ന ഫീലിംഗ് എന്താ? ആ സെക്കൻഡ് മണ്ണില് ഈ കാഷ്വലി കെയിം, ലുക്ക്ഡ് അറൗണ്ട് വെദർ ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ നോക്കി, വാഷ്റൂമിൽ വേറെ ആരെങ്കിലും യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ നോക്കിയിട്ട് പോയി. മറ്റേതിൽ കിട്ടുന്ന ഫീലിംഗ് എന്താ? Stealthily വന്ന് നോക്കി. So the very same thing can be projected in two different ways. അതിന് നുണ പറയാന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഇല്ല. You want to interpret your case the way your client wants it. Nothing wrong in it. So please, whenever any person, that's the first thing which you should all do. Any person who comes and tells you, വക്കീൽമാര് നുണ പറയില്ല. It's only disciplined interpretation of law. You are interpreting the law the way you want, your client wants it. That is why you are a lawyer. You are speaking for that person. And the client, you are the spokesperson. So you have to speak for that person. You have to tell the judge or tell the court what the law is, the way that should be suitable for that person. So there is nothing called non-avarchala. You are not a liar. Okay, that is one thing which you have to stand up. That's one takeaway that you have to take from this session. You have to make it very clear to people who talk to you that lawyers are liars. You are not liars. Okay, that is one thing. Now, second thing is what I was trying to tell you is like each stage, as you present your case, one other thing, certain ethics that you have to maintain in the court. Respect your opposite side, your opposite counsel. Don't antagonize the court. Sometimes the court might talk back to you which you are not at all happy about at all. ചിലപ്പോൾ അവർ പറയുന്നത് നിയമവുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട എന്തെങ്കിലും കുറച്ച് നിയമത്തിൽ തെറ്റാണെന്ന് നമുക്ക് ബോധ്യമുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളായിരിക്കും. തെറ്റ് പറയണമെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ട് പറയുന്നതായിരിക്കില്ല. ചിലപ്പോൾ their interpretation of law might be that way. You might disagree with the court, but don't be aggressive about it. Immediately tell the court, you are right, your lordship, you are right, you are right, you are right, your honor. But then it is like this. The moment you tell them that you are right and you are correct, their ego is satisfied. See, that's called advocacy. That part of it is advocacy. It's not being a lawyer. It is not, I'm not trying to say all judges are egoistic, all people are egoistic. It is like, you forget that person who's sitting on it. You are addressing the court. And when you speak to the court, one thing you should understand is, have you heard of Justice Cardozo? Those people who have studied jurisprudence must have come across Justice Cardozo at some point of time. Apparently somebody asked him, does all judgments of a judge reflect the judge's background? And he said yes. It is definitely yes. See, judge is also ultimately a human being. So what makes him, what has made him what he is, would definitely reflect in his judgments and in his personality. For example, I can give you a very short example from my own life. My father was a judge, and I was his only child. I am his only child. He is no more, but I am his only child. Apparently, when he was a sessions judge and when he was hearing a murder case, where the father had brought his first wife, or rather invited his first wife to his house and gruesomely murdered her by shooting her down. And for that, the daughter was a witness. The daughter saw the mother dead with the bullet shot, but she didn't see the father shooting her. That is the position of law, position of facts. And when the daughter was being examined as a witness, she was a major, she was being examined as a witness. Apparently that was the time, perhaps she was of the same age as I was at that time. And I was studying in a hostel, so my father was missing me very badly. So my father himself said, till that point, my father was, of that mind that this man should be given the highest punishment possible. He should be given the noose. He should be hanged to death. അത്രയും ക്രൂസമായിട്ട് വൈഫിനെ വിളിച്ച് വരുത്തിയിട്ട് വെടിവെച്ച് വന്നതാണ്. പക്ഷേ ഈ കുട്ടീനെ വിസ്തരിച്ച സമയത്ത് ഈ കുട്ടി പറഞ്ഞു, ഞാൻ ഓടി റൂമിലേക്ക് വരുമ്പോഴേക്കും അച്ഛൻ വിളിച്ചു പറഞ്ഞു, അയ്യോ മോളെ ആ തോക്ക് പിടിക്കരുത്, അതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് ഇനി ഒരു തിരയും കൂടെ ബാക്കിയുണ്ട്. There's one more bullet left in that revolver, so you don't go and hold that gun. So that showed that father had concern for his daughter. So immediately my father as a judge, he was saying, he thought, അത്രയെങ്കിലും ഒരു മനുഷ്യത്വം അയാളിൽ ബാക്കിയുണ്ട്. അച്ഛൻ എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ ആ കുട്ടിക്ക് അച്ഛനില്ലാതെയായി പോകും, ഇയാളെ ഇതിനും കൂടെ ഹാൻഡ് ടു ഡെത്ത് ആണെങ്കിൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് he brought it down to life imprisonment. So these are all factors as a judge, because he's എന്ത് ജഡ്ജാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലും after all he's a father, he is a human being. So these are all factors which will affect the judge. So when a judge sits there and when he says something and when you don't agree with him, there is no point in being aggressive and antagonizing him. നേരെ മറിച്ചിട്ട് you can always say, okay, as your lordship pleases, as your lordship said is right, as your order said is right. But then I feel this is the position of law. I am subject to correction. That very moment you are bringing the judge, take a U-turn and come to you. And never talk back to your opposite counsel. Prathipaksha bahumanam ennu parnoru karyundi. That is something which you have to maintain even in an assembly, even in courts. You have to be fair to your opposite counsel. You have to be fair. You have to respect that person. When he talks, don't stand up and talk. I think these are all things which are being trained for you in moot courts right now. Now, whatever training that you get, these are things which you have to take through for your profession also. You maintain all this, you will be able to get an integrity that is bestowed on you in your profession. And in our profession, integrity is very important. That is something which you have to develop. Inherent ആയിട്ട് കുറച്ചുണ്ടാവും നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ ക്വാളിറ്റീസിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. പക്ഷെ ഇന്റഗ്രിറ്റി ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്താലുള്ള ഒരു അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ്, see there is something called when you stand up in court and when you argue. It is not just knowledge that matters. ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ എഴുന്നേറ്റ് പറയാണ്, I shall file the counter today itself. Next day, കോടതി പറയണം, എക്സ് സബ്മിറ്റഡ്, ഇന്ന് കൗണ്ടർ ഫയൽ ചെയ്യാം. എക്സ് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് എന്തായാലും കൗണ്ടർ ഫയൽ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. That is something which you are acquiring, that X is acquiring over the years. That's kind of a belief or a trust which the court has on you. That is something which you should develop when you come to this profession. That is something called integrity. Competence, integrity, efficiency, advocacy, knowledge, ഇതെല്ലാം നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യമുള്ള ഫാക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണ്. So these are, അതിൽ knowledge നിങ്ങൾക്ക് സ്കൂളിൽ കോളേജിൽ നിന്ന് തന്നെ നിങ്ങൾ എഴുതി മേടിക്കണം. പിന്നെ you have to continue to be a student. Lawyers എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പം എൻ്റെ അടുത്തല്ല കുറേ പേര് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്, ഞായറാഴ്ച ഓഫീസിൽ പോകും, ഞായറാഴ്ച എന്താ പണി? ഞായറാഴ്ചയാണ് പണി. കാരണം ബാക്കിയുള്ള ദിവസം കോടതിയിൽ പോയി തിരിച്ചു വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ you hardly find time to sit and prepare your briefs. So Sundays are the time when you meet your clients and you sit and work. Those students here who have their parents or who have their relatives or the faculty who have their husbands or their wives as lawyers must be knowing this. See, lawyers spend 24/7 lawyers in the time aanu. And ratri calls vara. That for, of course, for doctors also they get calls at odd times. Namakku calls varum. Madam onnu avada pidichu nirthi. Allengi endha cheya police pidichu. Endha pettannu cheya. So these are all things which we will have to be on our feet 24/7. നമ്മൾ alert ആയിട്ട് agile ആയിട്ട് ഇരിക്കേണ്ടി വരും. Then if you ask me how my life has been in my profession, though I chose law for the sake of choosing law because I wanted to do law, I did a little bit of teaching, as I told you, that I had a little bit of stint abroad. Then I came back. I started practicing. Quite frustrating, I have to confess. Initial days of your practice might be frustrating. Because this is a profession which takes time to vegetate. ഇതിൽ നമ്മൾ പച്ച പിടിച്ച് വരാൻ കുറച്ച് ടൈം എടുക്കും. അതാണ് ആ പ്രൊഫഷൻ്റെ നേച്ചറാണത്. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ കുട്ടികൾ, ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ജൂനിയേഴ്സ്, വാട്ട് ഐ ഹാവ് ഫൗണ്ട് ഇസ് വെരി സ്മാർട്ട്, വെരി അലേർട്ട്, നോളജ് വൈസ് ഗുഡ്, റിസർച്ച് വൈസ് എക്സലൻറ്റ്. പക്ഷെ കുറച്ച് ഞങ്ങളെ പോലെ ഇത്തിരി കൺവെൻഷനൽ അല്ല ചെറിയ കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ. സി ഐ ക്യാൻ ഗിവ് യു എൻ എക്സാമ്പിൾ. When I started as my profession, my income was very meager. Whatever that was being provided, that was being paid by my senior. But I had 100% time. But I had 100% allegiance to my office. There were times when I was offered more money more pay packages by other lawyer firms. But I never diverted myself. പക്ഷെ അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു എലിമെന്റ് ഓഫ് കമ്മിറ്റ്മെന്റ് ചില സമയത്ത് കാണാറില്ല കുട്ടികളിൽ. ഓഫ് കോഴ്സ് പേ ഇസ് എൻ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ഫാക്ടർ, മണി ഇസ് ആൻ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ഫാക്ടർ, ബട്ട് യു ഇന്റെൻഡ് ടു കണ്ടിന്യൂ ഇൻ ദ പ്രൊഫഷൻ, യു വിൽ ഹാവ് ടു പുട്ട് യുവർ ഹാർട്ട് ആൻഡ് സോൾ ഇൻ ടു ഇറ്റ്. സ്ലൈറ്റ്ലി ഫ്രസ്ട്രേറ്റിംഗ്, മണി വൈസ് ഇറ്റ് മൈറ്റ് നോട്ട് ബി വെരി ഇൻവൈറ്റിംഗ് ഫോർ സം ടൈം, ബട്ട് ഇഫ് യു പെർസിവിയർ, this profession, nothing like it. It's one of the most divine professions. You can see almost all the ministers, all the statesmen, all the constitution drafting committee, everybody basically, they were all lawyers. So I think I have to conclude, but if you let me talk, I think I can talk for hours together, because this profession has given me good and bad. I was not able to reach the bad part of it. Anyway, welcome you all to this profession and wish you all the very best with open arms. You can always approach me for any doubts, whatever you have, because I love the students. I love the student community. I love this generation. Thank you. Jai Hind. Yes. Okay. Hmm. You're right, Karthik, because there is a transition. As you said, there is a transition. This is digitalization has completely taken over. And for that matter, even the High Court of Kerala is doing very well as far as e-filing is concerned. We have a very good, what do you call, e-committee there. And so now if artificial intelligence takes place, everything gets mechanical. Everything gets mechanical. As you said, emotional investment into the clients and other things would be almost nil. Perhaps, I don't know. I have not come across any situation like that still. Perhaps in another 5 to 10 years, things might change. And perhaps I will also have to change if I decide to continue in this profession. But then, perhaps the nature of cases, the nature of emotional investment demanded by the clients who approach us might also be different. It might be different. When recently the E-Committee chairman of the Kerala High Court, he had made a presentation for the lawyers on the law day. And it was slightly disturbing to all of us, because that reached a stage where everything was being controlled by robots. So there was absolutely no emotional investment into it at all. So it's like law, this is the particular law for it. So the judge invests into it. This is the law. So that is the law. So that is your judgment for it. And the lawyer hardly has to open his mouth. So the particular law is incorporated into that brief. And then the judge is made to understand this is the... So emotional investment was absolutely zero in it. So as you said, that is something which I am also dreading. As you said, if that is going to happen, we don't know. But we cannot say that there's a bad thing that is going to happen. There might be a transition. There might be a transition. Because as you should realize something. We talk about the third genders very comfortably now. It was not like that about 5 to 10 years back. We used to treat them of a different genre totally. But now we don't. Because for us, they are all one among us. They're all one among us. We have accepted them into the normal stream very well. So perhaps this also happens, but I don't know, people of my generation might find it very difficult to accept it, to be receptive to it. But then essentially we might also change, our outlook might also change. People might be able to convince us how to change. So let's wait for it.
My name is Sri Lakshmi. I'm from GLC Ernakulam. Ma'am, I'm here as a law student. I was really interested in as a criminal lawyer. I strongly believe a lawyer is always an investigator. As when a murder happens, lawyer has to analyze all these facts.
Yes.
So the same things happens when the civil case happens, or when the civil when a lawyer was had need to handle the civil case and other cases, like when a negligence happens, whether it is intentional or not. So I have to know about the investigating side of the lawyer.
What's your name?
Sri Lakshmi. Because a lawyer has to find himself that what is happens, whether our clients is saying is truth or whether the opposite side. So what are the investigating perspectives of our side? Because I was choosing law because also for I need to be a part of some police investigations in murders from my age of 18th, I also read about so many murder stories happening recently in India too. So I need to know about investigating side of our profession.
Investigative is a very important, Sri Lakshmi. In the sense, like for example, even if it's a civil case or a criminal case, നമ്മൾ സൈറ്റ് ഇൻസ്പെക്ഷൻ നടത്തും. നമ്മളുടെ അടുത്ത് ക്ലയന്റ് വന്ന് സംസാരിച്ച് കഴിയുന്ന സമയത്ത് അക്യൂസ്ഡ്, ഇഫ് യു ഹാവ് ടു ഡിഫെൻഡ് ആൻ അക്യൂസ്ഡ്, ആ സംഭവം നടന്ന സ്ഥലത്ത് നമ്മളെ കൊണ്ടുപോകാൻ വേണ്ടി പറയും. നമ്മൾ അവിടെ ചെന്നിട്ട് വി ഹാവ് ടു അസസ്, ലൈക്ക് ഇവർ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന കേസ്, പോലീസ് പറയുന്ന കേസും ഡിഫൻസിന് നമുക്ക് എന്താ കേസ് എടുക്കേണ്ടതെന്നുള്ളതും നമുക്ക് അവിടെ ചെന്ന് സൈറ്റിൽ നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റും. Then you have to study the person. You have to study the person's background. അയാളുടെ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് ആരാ, ഇതൊക്കെ വേണം. യു ആർ ആബ്സല്യൂട്ട്ലി കറക്റ്റ്. ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേറ്റീവ് ആസ്പെക്ട് ഇസ് വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ്. സിവിൽ കേസിലാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ സ്ഥലം വഴിത്തർക്കം എന്നൊരു ക്ലയന്റ് വന്ന് നമ്മളോട് കുറേ സംസാരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ when you go and see the place, the perspective will be totally different. So it's very important. You are absolutely correct. It's very important that we go to the place of occurrence. That's very, very important, and study the person as such. Short example, ഒരു ക്രിമിനൽ കേസിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് the case was that അയാളെ ഹൈക്കോർട്ടിൽ അപ്പീൽ വന്നതാ. ട്രയൽ കോർട്ടിൽ ശിക്ഷിച്ചിട്ട് ഹൈക്കോർട്ടിൽ അപ്പീൽ വന്ന സമയത്ത് അയാളുടെ ബ്രദറിന്റെ വൈഫിനെ കഴുത്തറുത്ത് കൊന്നു എന്നാണ് കേസ്. സോ ഹീസ് അറിയാണ്ട് കത്തി തട്ടിപ്പോയതാണ്, അല്ലാണ്ട് ഒരു ഫാമിലി ഫ്യൂഡിൽ വേണം മോട്ടീവ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല, ഇന്റൻഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അയാളുടെ ഡിഫൻസ്. ഹൈക്കോർട്ടിൽ കേസ് പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത്, കേസ് ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് പറഞ്ഞ സമയത്ത് ജഡ്ജസ് ആർ അഗൈൻസ്റ്റ്, ഡിവിഷൻ ബെഞ്ചിലാണ്, 302 മാറ്റർ ആണ്, ജഡ്ജസ് ആർ ടോട്ടലി അഗൈൻസ്റ്റ് ദ അക്യൂസ്ഡ്. കൺഫേം ചെയ്യാൻ പോവാണ് ലൈഫ് ഇംപ്രിസൺമെന്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് നിൽക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് ജഡ്ജ് ലോയർ ഒരു പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ ഏരിയ ഓഫ് ഡെപ്പോസിഷൻ വായിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. വേർ ദിസ് പൂർണ്ണ ഗർഭിണിയായിട്ടുള്ള ഫുള്ളി കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി പ്രഗ്നന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സിസ്റ്റർ ഇൻ ലോനെ കഴുത്ത് മുറിച്ച സ്ഥിതിയിൽ അയാൾ ഓട്ടോറിക്ഷയിൽ ഇരുത്തിയിട്ട് വേഗം കൊണ്ടുപോകുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിലേക്ക് റഷ് ചെയ്യാണ്. So what does that show? That he did not have intention to kill that lady, because he wanted to save that woman. That is why he rushed that lady to the hospital. That is why he was trying to post that deposition to say that he did not have intentions to commit murder. അവിടെ ചെന്ന് അത് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ജഡ്ജസിന്റെ ഫേസ് മാറി. അവിടെ ചെന്നിട്ട് ഈ ലേഡി, പക്ഷെ അവിടെ എത്തിയപ്പോഴേക്കും മരിച്ചുപോയി. അവിടെ ജഡ്ജസിന് അയാളുടെ ആ സ്വഭാവം, he attempted to commit murder ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല, he did not have intention to commit murder എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അയാൾ വെറുതെ വിടുകയാണെന്ന് കോടതി. എത്രയോ നാൾ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് this man is heard to have confessed to someone that ആ ഓട്ടോറിക്ഷയിൽ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് കഴുത്ത് മുറിച്ചു കളഞ്ഞത്. അത് കുറെ നാൾ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് he was heard to have said. ഒന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ. So these are all, ഈ ക്രിമിനൽ സൈക്കോളജി പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മളത് ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട്, നമ്മൾ ലോയേഴ്സ് നന്നായിട്ട് കെയർഫുൾ ആയിട്ട് അതിനെ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യണം. You have to study people. This investigative mentality is very, very important. See through people. You should see through people.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Actually, we are in part of time, so okay.
What do you say about remote hearing that we currently developed? Remote courts.
Remote courts means you mean virtual hearing.
Yeah, virtual hearing.
Virtual hearing was something which was brought about for the purpose of to avoid the pandemic situation.
So,
you know,
what is your say? Is it more effective? Or do you
in
find
the sense,
anything?
I can tell you for admission cases, like when you argue the matters for admission. Final hearing, I wouldn't suggest virtual courts, because final hearing is something like you will have to have a collection of books, collection of decisions. You will have to read out certain points, as I told you, read out depositions and all that. It's very difficult, and more of it, because you will not be able to get the feel of the court. The physical presence makes a lot of difference. But when you have to have an admission of a case. Admission of a case means you have to just tell the crux of the case and then try to get an admission in the court, or rather get an interim order of stay or whatever it is. For that, I think virtual courts are fine, fair enough, especially when now you have a hybrid system right now. You have a physical court as well as a virtual court happening simultaneously. If you are out of station, you can very well enter into the court, but certain decorum has to be maintained. You have to be in a background where you cannot travel in a car and then enter into a court and then argue the matter. You have to maintain certain kind of decorum. It is effective enough. Depends on what kind of case that you have to project.
Okay. You can note down the questions and give me with your name and your contact number, so that we'll get back to you with the opinion from ma'am. So now I invite Dr. Arul George Skaria for the session. Welcome, sir.
Connect in the Samayat, maybe we can quickly take those two questions also, right? Why don't you actually ask those two questions? And then maybe ma'am can respond to that.
I think we have to connect something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question is regarding your practical. No, I'll be. Ma'am, during my internship, one of my senior was talking like, I'm having a criminal field of interest, but one of my senior was talking that lady lawyers are not fit for criminal field. They were they actually talked lady lawyers are not fit for. Yeah, so I just wanted to. So I wanted if ma'am had any experience, like they are saying, lady lawyers, criminal field പോകുമ്പോൾ contacts and connections ഒക്കെ കുറവാണ്. So they literally asked me to go for family litigation.
Not at all. You go for family also, you go for criminal litigation also, go ahead with everything. It depends on how you handle the society. See, like you have to be accepted in the society in all fields. It is for you to decide, like why they keep, perhaps I don't know why they keep saying this, but then perhaps one reason why they say this, the criminal law field is not fitting women is, the reason being because you have to interact with a lot kind of people. സാധാരണ നമുക്ക് റോഡിൽ പോകുന്ന എല്ലാ മനുഷ്യരും ഈ ക്രിമിനൽ മൈൻഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് കീപ്സ് വർക്കിംഗ് പല രീതിയിലും വർക്കിംഗ്. ഇപ്പൊ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി പീപ്പിൾ ഹു ഗിവ് യു an impression that they are like sane and level-headed might behave differently in different ways. Some are sophisticated criminals, some are not. Some are very crude about it. That's all. But you have to. നമ്മളിൽ എല്ലാവരിലും ഒരു ക്രിമിനൽ എലിമെന്റ് ഉണ്ട്. എല്ലാവരിലും ഉണ്ട്. അത് ഓരോ രീതിയിൽ അത് will come out. Everybody has a psychiatric element. നമ്മളിൽ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഉണ്ട്. We are all going through a borderline. അത് ആർക്കെങ്കിലും ഒരു പ്രശ്നം വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ it immediately falls onto the other side and then you are termed as somebody having a mental health issue. No, all of us have issues. So how you handle it depends. And be sure this generation don't give up. Try all areas of law. Interact with people. Maintain your dignity. Maintain your integrity also, and handle every case that comes your way. There is nothing like lady lawyer cannot do that, cannot do this. Everybody can do everything.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I'm Diana from School of Legal Studies, Kannur University. I'm asking that you may have failed in cases. When you failed in first instance, what made you to encourage and to stand on and to move on in this profession?
See, there is one thing which you should realize. You should not identify yourself with the client. You should do your level best for your client. But you should not you should do your level best, but then avada vechittu nammal nirthana. You should not identify yourself with the client. But of course, there are cases where you feel you have done your level best, still it has not gone through. Maybe many factors. But you should not lose a case because you have been indifferent to that case. നമ്മൾ കേസ് പഠിക്കാത്തതുകൊണ്ടോ നമ്മൾ ആ കേസിനെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാത്തതുകൊണ്ടോ നമ്മൾ ആ കേസ് വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് that you are effective representation ഇല്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ടോ കേസിനൊന്നും പറ്റരുത്. You make your level best, you make your best attempt, and still you lose the case. You can't help it. It's the fate of the client. And you can always advise the client if you feel that there is a better option that they can go to a higher court. You can always advise them. You take the matter to the higher court, try to file an appeal, or do whatever possible. But don't go on a guilt trip. As long as you have done your level best for that case. See, there are cases where we have lost. നമ്മൾ ജയിക്കുന്ന 100% വിചാരിച്ച കേസുകൾ നമ്മൾ തോറ്റുപോയിട്ടുണ്ട്. And I have felt extremely bad about it. I have brooded over it. And once ഒരു കേസ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ I would advise you people not to brood over it. ഞാനും brood ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. Because we are all humans. It happens to all of us. പക്ഷേ നമ്മൾ you should do your level best. നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാവുന്നതിന്റെ പരമാവധി ചെയ്ത് അത് പഠിക്കാവുന്നത് ചെയ്ത് bring everything to the notice of the court. There might be areas where the court doesn't receive your arguments at all. You can't help it, but you can be pushy about it. Don't be aggressive. You can be pushy. You can always say, no, this is the case. You can be stern, rude, stern. You can present your case. But if you lose that case, you can't help it. Don't identify yourself. Don't go on a guilt trip saying that you're young case. Don't identify yourself. You're a law student ultimately. Alternate dispute resolutions.
So, as a practicing lawyer from your side, you have mainly, or ma'am has mainly been on
Litigation side.
So, when we are coming up as students, we have to keep a focus on the ADR part.
You can see, litigating and then maintaining an ADR attitude is okay. It's okay. It's something which again it depends on person to person. You have to develop, see, ADR is an art. Alternate dispute resolution is an art. Mediating is an art. Mediation എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ വിചാരിച്ച പോലെ എക്സ് 50,000 പറഞ്ഞു, വൈ 60,000 പറഞ്ഞു, 55,000 കൊണ്ടേ നിർത്തുക. ഇതല്ല mediation. The other person should not feel that he has lost. The other person should not feel that the other person has gained also. So it's a balance which you have to reach. It's an emotional balance which you have to reach. Both of them should be satisfied. So as far as litigation നടത്തുമ്പോൾ advantage, litigation നടത്തുമ്പോൾ ആ കക്ഷിക്ക് എന്ത് കിട്ടും litigate ചെയ്താൽ എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് ശരിക്കും അറിയാൻ പറ്റും. So you will be able to advise that client. നിങ്ങൾ കേസിന് പോയാലും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇത്രയൊക്കെ കിട്ടാൻ പോകുന്നുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിന്റെ അകത്ത് കിട്ടുന്നത് ചിലപ്പോൾ നല്ല കേസായിരിക്കും, നന്നായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഒരു മണി സൂട്ട് കിട്ടുമായിരിക്കും, 50 കോടിക്കുള്ള ഡിഗ്രി കിട്ടുമായിരിക്കും. ഹൗ ഡു യു എക്സിക്യൂട്ട് ഇറ്റ്? അവനെ തൂക്കി വിറ്റാൽ പോലും കിട്ടില്ല അതിനകത്ത് കാശ്. ഈ 50 കോടിയുടെ ഡിഗ്രി കൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് നടക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ? So ultimately, if you settle and that man says, I'll give you 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs മേടിച്ച് മുണ്ടാണ്ടിരിക്കുക. So you be practical. So when you are a litigating lawyer, you will know the pros and cons of that litigation. And then you will be able to advise for a proper mediation. You will be able to guide them for a proper mediation.
Thank you. I invite Dr. Arul Jos Karia for the session.
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers, particularly Dr. Titus, whom I can see at the back of the room, and the wonderful colleagues here, Grishma, Sanal, and all others from ESAP for inviting me for this event. It's always a pleasure to interact with students and faculty from my own state. I just want to confirm whether everyone can also follow Malayalam, or is there anyone who doesn't know Malayalam? Okay, I think everyone can follow. So I guess, oh, there is one person. Okay, so then we'll stick to English, or two people at least, so then we'll stick to English, no worries. So for my presentation, I am actually planning to proceed in two parts, as you can see here. One is about my story, so like my journey so far, and the second is staying relevant in a tech-driven world. And as you can see here, the connecting overall theme is staying relevant, and the reason why I have the first one is the person who is sitting at the back of the room, because I just mentioned that as part of the presentation, maybe I should share my story so that you might also see how even a reasonably lazy person can actually reach, say for example, an institution like NLSIU. So that's the broader reason why we are having that. So let's start. So can you move this? Okay, so you can. So we have a tech issue, so yeah, please. So quickly my story. So I was born in a place called Changanasheri. I do not know whether there is anyone here from Changanasheri. So I was born in that town. And as I mentioned, unlike many of you, I was reasonably lazy during my school times. So my mother used to say that I even doubt whether you will pass the SSLC exam. So that was the extent to which I was lazy towards my textbooks. But having said that, at least I was interested in general readings, particularly newspapers and all kinds of other things, everything other than textbooks, and passed SSLC also with a reasonable grade. Next. I then joined the SB College, where I took the, I think at that time it was called Physics, Science, Maths stream for pre-degree. There was a reason for doing that. So at that time, when I asked my dad, I want to pursue history, can I? He said, yes, there is no reason why you cannot pursue history, but why do you want to restrict your options at this stage? So he suggested that let's go for physics, chemistry, maths, if it is okay with you, and then at a later stage decide whether you want to continue in that path, or if you want to move to history, yes, you can always move it at the undergraduate level. So I opted for physics, chemistry, maths. Of course, the first year of the college went very well. I was really liking the college because at that time SB College was quite active. But thanks to some of the political issues that happened towards the end of my first year, not with respect to me, but with respect to the college in general, we had a fairly chaotic second year. Maybe that also made me a bit disillusioned with a traditional college. That's something which I must say. The way the disciplining was happening, the way politics was completely taken out of the college was kind of disturbing for me as a student, maybe also as a citizen. The next option for me had to be planned. I wrote the National Law School entrance because at that time National Law School was the only national law school existing. Now we have like around 23 plus law schools existing in the country. I failed in that exam. I think I got a rank in, I think, 4 digits, so I couldn't make it. So what I did was I enrolled for the undergraduate program in mathematics. I think studied for around maybe 5 or 6 months in that undergraduate program, but mine was quite disturbed. So what I did was I wrote the Kerala Law Entrance exam. Thankfully the family was supporting these kinds of adventures. And I could actually clear the Kerala Law Entrance exam with one of the highest grades. Next one. And that led me to one of the greatest institutions I have seen, that is Government Law College, Cochin. So earlier ma'am mentioned about Government Law College. I completely agree with her on that point. There is no institution which is matching this one when it comes to giving you different kinds of life experiences which would be helpful throughout your life. It gave me the best of my friends. Even today, even at my most happiest times, even at most saddest times, they are the ones who are always with me. So I should thank Government Law College for who I am today, the good or bad. One of the other really good things about Government Law College was the kind of teachers we had. Of course, I wouldn't say it had the greatest teaching experience or learning experience from that perspective. They were not conveying, I would say, the most advanced knowledge in the area of law, but some of them were the best mentors I could ever have in terms of conveying many life lessons. And even today, I must say that many of them are still like more like friends rather than teachers to me. So from that perspective also, this is an institution that played a major role in my life. After the undergraduation, like many of you will be going to face this issue, I had to take a choice. Should I go for practice or should I go for postgraduate studies? Again, my inner sense was maybe I should go for a postgraduate program because I wanted to keep my options again open. Because if I was directly going for practice, the chances of me going back to, say for example, academia or something in research might become remote. So I decided to move to a postgraduate program, and that was at Nalsar University. And as you can imagine, when a student goes from GLC to Nalsar, it's a sea change. So, for the first time in my life, I saw a database called Westlaw. First time in my life, I saw the SEC online databases. Of course, nowadays I think it's accessible for most of the colleges and so on. But at that time, at least, these databases were completely unknown for almost all the colleges that were existing. Only in national law schools there were access to these databases. But like many of the other higher education institutions, I must say that considerable amount of discrimination existed in national law schools when it came to postgraduate studies. Because most of the national law schools, and that's a situation which is existing even today, they give prominence only for the undergraduate studies. The postgraduate studies is treated as a second grade citizen. That's a fact that exists in most of the national law schools across the country. So there, yes, I could actually see many colleagues getting completely disillusioned with the kind of postgraduate education they were receiving. I was also, of course, disillusioned, but I decided to actually kind of ignore those kinds of, I would say, challenges and try to make use of some of the opportunities, the most important being the best of access to these databases. The best result of that effort was this book, which is actually my LLM dissertation. So when Oxford University Press published this particular book, I actually sent it to the then administrator there, just to convey the point that it's not just undergraduate students who can actually perform, but also the postgraduate students whom we were conveniently ignoring for all these years. So that was one important thing which happened because I joined NALSA. After that, again, after the post-graduation, again another major challenge is coming up. If you have gone for post-graduation, the immediate presumption which the market, the job market will take is that you are not actually meant for the profession, but you are only good for teaching. So finding a good law firm is a challenge for many of the postgraduates. I think some of you are already completed post-graduation here. And even finding a good lawyer who would agree to take you as a serious person who wants to pursue litigation are very, very less. Most people will think that at one point this guy is actually going to go for teaching or research. So that's a major challenge which we will have to face. But at least there were two lawyers who were actually very happy to take me, and through them at least I could experience litigation for some time. Ma'am very rightly pointed out that yes, at least in the initial years this is not going to be a smooth journey. This is going to be a tough journey, and I experienced it over those months. There are many things which you wouldn't learn from law, but you will actually see in a court of law that can actually dissuade you from continuing litigation. But in my case, I decided to drop litigation not for those factors, because they were challenging factors and I was willing to take up those challenging factors, but because of the fact that my core area of interest was intellectual property, and at that time most of the trial courts and even the High Court didn't have many IP related litigations, which means if I was continuing litigation in Kerala, my chances of interacting with my favorite subject in law would have actually gone down. So I decided maybe I should now take a break from litigation. So I actually went to the next phase of my life. That was, I joined the National Innovation Foundation, which is an autonomous body under CSIR. So there I was fortunate to work with one of the best mentors I could have, that is Professor Anil K. Gupta. Has anyone heard this name, Anil K. Gupta? No? Okay. So one of the things which, you should do after this session, once you go home, is to try to search on YouTube Anil K. Gupta TED Talk, and you will find one of his very fascinating, you will actually find many videos of him. But yeah, he is considered as the innovation Gandhi of India. So what he does is, he travels extensively to rural parts of India and tries to scout and document grassroots innovations and traditional knowledge. And the experience of working with him at the National Innovation Foundation really helped me to see what intellectual property stands for and means for the real population of India. So today in the plenary session, different people were talking about intellectual property. The Chief Minister very rightly pointed out the fact that yes, we are going into an era wherein the intellectual property regime is getting stricter, so we need to focus more on the indigenous technology. Dr. Ella also flagged intellectual property at different points, but in a very positive way, so we had two different perspectives coming in from the plenary session. But for me, the work with NIF really showed me what we can do with IP for the common people in India. So that again was a major turning point. After working with NA for some time, yes, I realized that maybe this is not the stop where I should be. I need to actually move further in research and maybe pursue a long-term career in academia. That led me to one of the best institutions in the area of intellectual property, that's the Max Planck Institute for Innovation and Competition in Munich. Thankfully, I also received a scholarship from the institute, which enabled me to meet all my courses relating to my education there. And again, one of the really fortunate results from that particular research was a book. So my PhD dissertation has been published by Cambridge University Press as a book. So it was focusing on piracy in the Indian film industry. And what I did as part of my PhD dissertation was I was doing an empirical study which is looking more at the behavioral aspect. So in other words, instead of focusing only on legal enforcement, what I tried to explore through my book was to see what makes people pirate different things. For example, why are you pirating MS Word, or why are you actually watching pirated movies, right? So here, since my focus was on movies, I was looking at more on that side. So what are the behavioral reasons why people engage in piracy, and what legal and policy measures can help in addressing that particular issue. After doing the PhD, I also went for 2 years postdoctoral research at Catholic University of Leuven. Again, a really interesting research experience. After doing all these adventures, then I decided, yes, now it's actually time to come back to India and enter teaching. And I was fortunate to get a faculty position at the National Law University in Delhi, where I taught for more than 8 years. And recently, I have joined National Law School in Bangalore. So what are the key things which you can actually see from this journey? So I was asking this myself, and maybe I should share 4 of the things that came to me in this particular regard. So one is, there is an unnecessary focus on finding your long-term career objectives at a very, very initial stage. So most of the people, including your parents, will say that, yes, identify what you want to become, right? I think that's the first thing which you will ask a child also. Do you want to become a doctor? Do you want to become an engineer? My suggestion is, don't do that. If you are asking that, you are actually doing a disservice to that kid. And even if you are at this stage, I would say that don't force a career goal on yourself. We have to keep it organic. And as you can see from my life, yes, it has actually flown through different areas. And nothing terrible will happen. I am not saying you should flow without any objectives or goals at all. All what I am saying is, don't think that these are set in stone. We have to actually keep it dynamic. The second thing is, and this is also something which ma'am highlighted earlier, whatever we are doing, if you are going to pursue litigation, do it with full passion and energy. If you are not finding passion and energy in what you are doing, leave it as quickly as possible, because that's not your destiny. You have to find your destiny where you actually find passion and energy. The third is getting or identifying the right kind of mentors. So sometimes it might be your teachers, sometimes it might be your friends, sometimes it might be your parents. But yes, having mentors is very, very important, and that's something which you can see from my limited experiences in life. And the last but not the least that came to my mind was, there would definitely be many challenges that would be coming in your way as you proceed through your legal education or your career in law. Don't get disillusioned easily. As far as possible, we should also try to turn those challenges into opportunities. And there are many opportunities waiting for each of us. So these are the 4 things that you can actually see from my short, I would say, journey. Now let's look at the more relevant part of today's discussion, that is, how do we, and by we I mean you as students or teachers, and I also as a teacher, stay relevant in a tech-driven world. I was really impressed by the question which Karthik asked earlier, and of course we are also going to come to that as part of this part of the session. Yeah. So this is a painting which is made by someone called Jason Allen, and this recently won a prize in Colorado festival. What is unique about this painting? Any idea? Has anyone read about this painting? Yes, this was a painting that was made by AI. And if I hadn't asked this specific question, in all probability, you wouldn't have also realized it. So you can actually see to what extent AI is contributing or getting creative on that front. Of course, I'm not going to play this video, but you should, again, I mean, whenever time permits, on YouTube, just search for the keyword, the next Rembrandt. You will actually see a wonderful project wherein AI is used to create paintings that imitates the style of Rembrandt. Some people are also doing the same thing in the context of India, say for example trying to imitate the paintings of people like Raja Ravi Verma. And as we can see, the results are quite promising in that regard. AI has also started writing things, and some of you might have read an op-ed that was published in The Guardian some time back. Again, I wouldn't consider it as the most impressive op-ed I have read, but it was a decent one. So AI is also making inroads there. And many of our newspapers, I think this is also something which you should know. I do not know whether any of the Malayalam newspapers are doing it, but many of the major international newspapers are also now using AI for reporting. For example, here you can see Bloomberg is using an AI tool called Cyborg for reporting company earnings. As we know, yes, reporting company earnings is one of the most boring things which a journalist can have. So what they have done is, now they are using AI to make those reports. Similarly, Associated Press, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, Forbes, etc. are now employing AI for different kinds of news reporting. In the area of coding also, you will notice that AI has made strong inroads. For example, there is a program called Bayou, which is using codes which are posted on GitHub. So GitHub is an open access repository of codes. And what it does is, through neural sketch learning, it associates an intent behind each code. And if you want to create an app, you just go to this place, key in the word, and it will match you and create an app which is matching your intent. So basically, in the area of coding also, now AI has made strong inroads. But what about law and legal profession? How much inroad is it making? Of course, on that front also, it's making strong inroads. I just wanted to give you a couple of examples, like maybe 3 or 4. As you know, one of the things many lawyers do is contract vetting, right? So a substantial chunk of people who enter this profession make their livelihood by just going through contracts and analyzing them. But now, there are actually AI startups that completely automate this process. One of them is the so-called Logix, wherein, yes, that will do all kinds of contract analysis. That means that part of the job is now taken away by AI. Yet another one, e-discovery. So again, this is another startup called Disco, which is helping lawyers in going through the discovery process. As at least some of you would be knowing, whenever you are in a civil harm litigation, you might actually want to pull out some of the relevant documents from the opposite side. And many times what the opposite side would be doing is, they will be dumping tons and tons of paper before you. And for most of the human beings, it's a quite difficult task to identify what is relevant there and what is irrelevant there. Again, now there is an AI which is making substantial inroads there, and it's known as e-discovery. And they say that the accuracy levels are pretty high. So that means on that front also we are going to confront serious challenges. Then people like me thought that, okay, at least on these fronts, yes, the jobs are being taken away, but my job as a legal researcher would be safe. Sorry, that's also not safe. So again, you will notice that there are many startups working in this area. I just want to give you one example. That's Weslow QCheck. So imagine that ma'am is preparing the draft which she has to submit to the court tomorrow. If you upload that draft on QuickCheck, what it would do is, it will scan and tell whether ma'am has cited all the relevant authorities and whether ma'am has actually missed out any of the provisions which could have actually gone in a matter like this. Which in effect means on the legal research front also we are facing serious challenges. Even with respect to making judicial decisions, so earlier ma'am told a very interesting story about her dad, how dad reduced sentencing from death penalty to a lifetime imprisonment. Can AI do that? Can we employ AI in sentencing? People are saying no, but please be aware of the fact that in different jurisdictions that is already happening. For example, in the case of United States, there are many states wherein AI is used for determining sentencing and also for determining whether someone should be released on probation or not. In other words, AI will decide whether you have to go into the prison or whether you can actually go out of prison. Again, major changes. Then yes, as at least most of you would be now aware of, even as a legal scholar, you don't have any scope now. ChatGPT is here, and ChatGPT recently passed a law exam paper also. Of course, it was not passing in flying colors, it got a grade which would be equivalent to like C+. But the fact that it is passed, it has passed the bar exam, says a lot about that area also. So the real question which I would have for all of us, again I re-emphasize, this is not just about you but also about me as one of the stakeholders in this area, is how do we stay relevant in a tech-driven legal profession. Before I open up that question for, I would say, discussion, I also wanted to show you one of the experiments which I did, because now everyone is talking about ChatGPT and ChatGPT is what is challenging us. So I asked this question to ChatGPT itself. So my question was, how would lawyers stay relevant in a world of ChatGPT? And see, I mean, ChatGPT has given like at least 4 reasons why lawyers would stay relevant. So as you can see here, the first one, it says AI wouldn't have expertise in complex legal issues. So if the issue is complex, I still have to go to a lawyer like our ma'am. Otherwise, you are not actually going to win the case. So if the matter is complex, yes, AI cannot help. That's something which ChatGPT is helping. The second and more importantly, it also says AI can do many things, but it cannot represent in a court of law, at least as it stands now. So on that front also, lawyers are saved. The third was really interesting for me, that is ethical considerations. So it says there are certain ethical obligations in this field, and AI is not the best one to actually uphold those ethical standards. And finally, it also focuses on another important aspect, which I was noticing that ma'am was emphasizing at multiple times, that is human touch. So ma'am was earlier mentioning that yes, lawyers should be sensitive. Ma'am also told us some interesting stories about how we can actually construe and also present depositions. And ma'am also mentioned about the fact that yes, we should be able to connect with all kinds of people. And these are all different dimensions of human touch which AI will not be able to replace. And that's something which ChatGPT is also admitting. Of course, I just wanted to push it a bit further, and I asked ChatGPT, I told ChatGPT that I am not impressed by your answer, give me a better answer. And you can see here the improved answer which it gave. And I thought that maybe this is also the best concluding message which I can have from this presentation, that is, don't run away from technology. I think these technological developments are inevitable, irreversible. So we have to understand that, yes, these are going to stay here, and the technology is also going to improve further. But what we as lawyers need to do is we need to be ahead of the technology, and we need to use technology in the best possible manner, particularly by giving a human touch to each and everything. Otherwise, all of us will become obsolete very, very quickly. With this, I will end, and I look forward to your comments as well as questions. Thank you so much. That's the reason why I mentioned. I mean, it was really interesting to actually hear that. And did you also try ChatGPT?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Shall we move on to questions? Sure. Yeah.
Sir, regarding the same, as we know that ChatGPT and even various other, even IBM, they are making heavy inroads into the legal system. But the main question I want to put forward is that in today's technology, in today's world, with apps like social media, in our phones, they have been collecting a lot of data, and regulations are being done. Even in UK, we have the Digital Markets Act, which calls for the regulation to guide the same. I want to focus on the point that now the area is developing, but if it becomes a point where there is a mass usage of AI that like we most of us are even dreading or being scared about, will the privacy aspects of life and the consideration of the human touch, as rightly pointed out, will it vanish from there? That's my first question.
Okay. Maybe you can also ask a second, and then I can actually respond to it.
And regarding the same also, sir, as we mentioned about the technological advancements also, we can see that there was a post by I think maybe the founder of ChatGPT on LinkedIn, I noticed. And ChatGPT or AI will not overtake you, but a person using ChatGPT will.
Absolutely. That precisely is the reason why I said we cannot ignore these developments. What we as lawyers need to do is to master these skills. So if you want to stay relevant, maybe 2 years from now, I guess you have to know how to use ChatGPT properly. And as you also might be knowing, all the major tech companies are making huge investments in this area. For example, Microsoft has already announced that it is planning to integrate Bing and ChatGPT because Microsoft is one of the biggest investors in OpenAI. Similarly, Google is also making huge investments in area this with BART. But thankfully, yesterday, I think in their live experiment, BART failed miserably, and 10% of the company value also vanished immediately. So we do not know what is the future of Google now. So again, that's questionable. But what is important is to keep ourselves updated of the technology. And there again, I want to actually go back to my own small life experience. So when I was at NALSA, again, I mean, people were asking me, why are you actually wasting your time on Westlaw? But to be very frank, I think Westlaw really changed my life. I do not know how many of you are actually using Westlaw, but one of the things which was really shocking for me when I first used Westlaw was the fact that it can show you whether a particular judgment has been overruled or partially overruled or differentiated. Of course, I mean, this was like many years back. Now, things have moved even further. But at that time, yes, mastering how to search Westlaw was a major step that really helped me. Similar is the case now. If you really want to stay relevant, say for example, for me as a teacher, now I need to know how the students might be using ChatGPT, and I have to actually use those skill sets in evaluating my students, say for example, project submissions. I come from one of the leading national law schools, and as you can imagine, yes, we are already seeing submissions with ChatGPT. So if we cannot actually convey to our students as well as to the world that yes, we are also familiar with the technology, we also know how to use it, how to also understand whether this is AI written or human written, we will become irrelevant. And I am talking about my relevance as a teacher here, but I think the same holds true for you as a lawyer. If you want to stay relevant in the legal profession, Now you have to actually master these skills. Coming to your first question, is this the end of privacy? I don't believe so. And I am saying that because as you were also rightly pointing out, at least in the major jurisdictions, we are already seeing the legal developments, right? For example, in Europe, they have the so-called GDPR, which is providing a reasonably strong privacy protection. Of course, countries like ours are now experiment fields wherein everyone can actually take our data for any purpose, but that has to change. But then the pressure has to actually come through people like you. So you as law students now have an obligation to educate our lawmakers that right to privacy as enshrined in Kundasamy judgment need to be also practiced. But as we all know, as it stands now, both the government as well as the companies are violating it left, right and center. So those things have to change. But yes, if we have a strong regulatory framework, this is an issue that can be addressed to a great extent. So that would be my response.
May I go?
Yeah.
So my question is particularly with regard to sentencing. I remember reading somewhere that up until around 1973, India also had a jury system. And we essentially did away with it because we felt too many emotions and we need a more judicial application of mind. So do you think in a couple of years AI will take over sentencing, as mentioned, and then we'll say, oh, it's so much better than before because then the judges is biased and or in the particularly I would like to place in context that India still does not have a sentencing policy, and there's also criticism that India's sentencing has particularly affected certain demographics more. So within those contexts, would it be very utopian to think that somewhere between AI and a human interference we'll find a way for bias to not creep in, or would that be very utopian? Would bias creep in?
I guess it's a very interesting and very relevant question because as we all know, we are also deliberating on how much AI should be used within our judicial system. So there I think a couple of things. One, please don't be ever under the impression that the machine will be free from bias. So there have been studies from the United States because that's a place where AI has been used most for sentencing. Almost all those studies consistently show that AI can be racist. It can be making sentencing which would be really prejudicial against black people. But then why is it happening? I mean, AI is not doing it on its own, but it's happening because of the underlying data set. So again, I mean, if you look at the underlying data set, it would be about like past punishments and so on, which in effect means, yes, even in the legal enforcement system, there is a racial bias, and that's actually getting fed into the AI system. And within the AI system, it gets amplified in a much stronger way, and we are in a really bad situation. So there are a couple of things that we need to do there. One, yes, the recognition that there is a bias, I think that has to actually come in. And then once we accept that there is bias existing, then I think we can start taking specific measures to address that. And that has to actually start from the way we investigate crimes and all the way up to what kind of data gets fed into the system. Just to give you one example there, for a very long time, we didn't have any data. I mean, I'm talking about India now. We didn't have any data on who gets death penalty in India. But finally, when one of my colleagues at NLU Delhi did this empirical study on who is actually getting death penalty, the findings revealed that if you are someone from a religious minority, or if you are someone from a lower caste, the chances of you getting a death penalty are far higher. So there is a disproportionate number of these section of people in the total set of people who are getting death penalty in India. But till the time that study came, no one actually bothered about it. Everyone was, oh yeah, we don't know who is actually getting, but yeah, we are also not interested in knowing. But at least studies like that showed that there is a problem that is existing. But the more crucial question is, have we then taken measures to mitigate that problem? The unfortunate reality is we haven't. Some states might be doing it, but in most states that is not being done. So unless and until you address the issue at the grassroots, for example, in terms of training the investigating officers, training the judges, training the prosecutors, things will not change. So an overhauling of the system has to happen, and I don't think a mere shift to the jury system will help us in any manner, because the jury system is also like a lottery. It depends on who is actually going to come in that jury. Your net result will be determined. So I wouldn't consider the jury system as anything better than a machine-based sentence determination. Of course, I would never ever advocate for replacing a judge with a machine, because as ma'am also pointed out in an excellent manner through her examples, there are certain things which only a human judge can understand, only a human judge can actually convey. And for that reason, I would always say that the final determination has to be done by a human judge. That would be my assessment. Yes.
Due to lack of time, we may be able to take one more question, and others who have questions are
I think
requested
let's,
to...
maybe if it is okay, maybe two questions. Yeah, and we will take it together.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Medical negligence are increasing. Some of the doctors also hide the truth behind this. As a part of the lawyer, how can we find, or what are the procedures, or is there any technologies that help to find this medical negligence?
Ma'am, do you want to take on that?
See, on the technology part, one or two cases we found was there were issues where robotic surgeries were happening. Keyhole surgeries, there have been a lot of issues. Keyhole surgeries to the extent that normally the experts, they watch the monitor and conduct the surgery, or rather it's happening that way. So what happens is there are certain vital organs which are not expected to gets affected at the end of it, and the patient realizes it only later, during only the convalescing period that they realize it. So the harm is already done. Now what they expect is compensation or whatever it is. From the consumer's point of view. You mean to say to add a technological this thing? Perhaps the lawyers and the judge might be helpful for them if a technological based what do you call an app or something is there for them to understand the medical aspect of it, rather the medical intricacies of it, which of course, as I told you, at any point of time, a lawyer will have to study medical, basic medical jurisprudence, basic medical issues when it comes to handling cases like that. If there is a technological this thing, of course, these are all areas which you can advert to, or which you can apply your mind without any emotional element. See, if you know that if a urethra gets cut at the time of removing a cyst from the ovary or whatever it is, some abdominal part, if a cyst is being removed and a keyhole surgery is being conducted, and another organ which is lying very close to it gets affected by it, detrimentally affected by, adversely affected by it. So these are all areas if there is some app which can, some technology which can help us, I think that will be more foolproof to that extent. But ultimately taking a decision, as Mr. Arun said, it has to be from a human mind. Because taking a decision is different. But otherwise, perhaps the technological help will assist to be and be more or less foolproof also to that extent. Medical negligence issues.
Thank you. The last one.
Sir, AI is completely working on the basis of a data set, or otherwise it will be providing data from outside. Then how that will be connected with the patent rights, and also that will be having issues for patents and intellectual property, and also it's affecting for plagiarism. What's the role of the three things as a lawyer against to AI?
So, thanks for that interesting question. So again, one of the things which I want to remind everyone is the effectiveness of any AI would depend on the kind of data sets which it has access to. For example, we have already seen that ChatGPT gives many inaccurate answers, particularly if you are asking questions relating to Indian laws, the chances of it giving wrong answers are very, very high. And that's happening primarily because access to data relating to India is currently limited for ChatGPT. But that also brings in a broader question in a world wherein we are moving to, wherein AI would be used extensively by people like you and me as well as the general public for getting so many different kinds of information. How do we improve accuracy by enabling more access to data sets? So there, my friend, I forgot your name, used Rindu use the term patent rights, but it's not patent that is relevant here. So depending on the jurisdiction, there might be some kind of intellectual property existing in the data sets. For example, in Europe, there is a so-called database rights, which provides the makers of databases some sort of IP control. But in the Indian context, thankfully, we don't have a database right. And what the concerned people who are creating data sets are getting is only limited right which is given through copyright system, but it's a very limited right. But that's not sufficient. So what we would need in an AI-driven world is more stronger exceptions that would give better access to data sets. In other words, under our copyright law, we have section 52 which is dealing with different kinds of exceptions. There we might also want to add more exceptions that would allow AI to access more data sets without fear of copyright infringement. So that's also very much required. Thank you.
I know that many of you have a lot of
Had all your lunch. Let's start. The knowledge economy is a new development model for stimulating economic growth in Kerala and enabling sustainable development. It is meant to formulate an economy that creates, uses, and disseminates knowledge to enhance growth and development. In this session of 45 minutes, we'll be having a discussion on the topic fostering knowledge economy in Kerala, based on the insights you had received in the morning session from the speakers. So, for effective discussion, students and faculties are divided into multiple teams. After discussion, each team should prepare an innovative suggestion to the government based on the topic fostering knowledge economy in Kerala. It may be one suggestion or two suggestions that is required in this. No, fostering knowledge economy in Kerala with economic development. Yeah. And all the suggestions received from the team will be shared to the government for further actions. And for discussion, we'll be dividing. So, actually, in the front 3 rows, I hope you'll be 11 in numbers. And you can arrange your chairs just in the form of a semicircle. There, you can form a second team, forming a semicircle. Then in this part, I hope you will be their numbers to form 2 teams. So you can split and few can come in front and form a team here and form a team there. Please come forward and let's not waste the time. Have a brainstorming session and we'll be winding up this discussion, your discussion by 2:30. So please don't waste time. Please form a team immediately. Forming a member of 11-member team.
You can use your faculty's help if needed. You need only a brainstorm before your ഏതെങ്കിലും ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ ആഡ് ചെയ്യാം മാം.
I think our students have some idea. And
സജഷൻ വെച്ച് വിളിക്കും. വരുമായിരിക്കും.
Is there any teams who are still confused with the topic? So we all know that students are going abroad. So we want your predictions. Kerala or India? What as a law, what can be done? That's the topic. അറിയാം നമ്മുടെ കേരളത്തിലെ കുട്ടികൾ കൂടുതൽ പേര് അബ്രോഡ് പോകുന്നുണ്ട്, UK പോകുന്നുണ്ട്, യൂറോപ്യൻ കൺട്രീസ് പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പം നമ്മൾ കേരളത്തിൽ റേഞ്ച് യൂസ് ചെയ്ത് ഇവിടെ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുക, നമ്മുടെ ഇവിടുത്തെ എക്കണോമി ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യുക. അപ്പോൾ ലോ സ്റ്റുഡൻറ്റ് എന്ന രീതിയിൽ എന്തൊക്കെ ചെയ്താൽ നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ എക്കണോമി ഡെവലപ്പ് ആവും എന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ ജനറൽ ടോപ്പിക്. അപ്പം അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന് 6 റെക്കമെൻഡേഷൻ ഗവൺമെൻറ് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ലോ കോളേജ് ലോ സ്റ്റുഡൻറ്റ് എന്ന രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ ഇപ്പം ലീഗൽ അഡ്വൈസറായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എന്തൊക്കെ രീതിയിൽ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത് ഇവിടെ എന്തൊക്കെ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നു, അപ്പം അതാണ് ജനറൽ അഡ്വൈസ്. പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കാം.
Excuse me for a moment. I think many students are going through using the bus service in the evening. So we'll pass a A4 sheet paper. So write out your name and at what time you will be leaving. And we need your attendance also. From institution, your name and at what time you will be leaving. We need that much details. Okay. Yeah. At what time you could leave means the program will be concluded by 5:30 and there is a cultural program from Agam band from 5:30 to 7. If you need to stay, you can stay, you can enjoy. Otherwise, you can leave by 5:30. It's not mandatory. Yeah, it's mandatory to still 5:30.
പറ്റത്തില്ലല്ലോ. അത് കുഴപ്പമില്ല, അത് കുഴപ്പമില്ല. അത് കുഴപ്പമില്ല. മതി മതി, അത് കുഴപ്പമില്ല. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ ഡീൽ ചെയ്തോളാം, പ്രശ്നമില്ല. So let's wind up the discussion brainstorming session, and let's collect your suggestions to the government one by one from each of the teams. So when a team is presenting their suggestion, I request others to be patient to listen to that, and let's collect all your ideas. Okay. So let's start from here. So one member from the team can stand up and present your suggestion. Okay. And you can mention your name, your institution, and then mention your suggestion.
You can either speak in English or Malayalam, that's not an issue, okay.
കുഴപ്പമില്ല, നമുക്ക് ടൈം ഇത്രയുള്ളൂ. Okay, who is presenting from here? No, we have to take it. Can present. Yeah. Present. Yes, your name?
Myself Shifa Rahman. I am an LLM final year student from School of Legal Studies, Kannur University. So my suggestions are, first suggestion is a student exchange program, which means students from universities of Kerala, which means example Kannur University, giving an opportunity for the students to study or make a paper presentation in the foreign universities, and inviting the foreign students to participate in our universities in Kerala, a student exchange program. Next suggestion is in the school curriculum, a separate legal subject should be there, which should be especially dealt by legal professionals or qualified legal professionals. So thereby we can introduce the employment opportunities in that field, because in schools that subject should be particularly held by law professionals only. And the third suggestion is a centralized law university should be established in Kerala, because there are mushroom growth of private colleges, which is reducing the standard of legal education in Kerala.
Okay. So one thing, in the student exchange program you have mentioned.
Yes.
So is it like for a paper presentation, or is it like for a combined summer?
Okay, I'll give you an example first. For if there is an LLM program, then the last 6 months should be for the last 6 months that program should be completed or committed from the outside university or foreign university.
Okay. In the second suggestion, is it for who are the target audience? That is, whether it is school students or graduate students?
No, school curriculum. In school curriculum, imparting legal education is the main object, and that legal subject should be considered as a particular subject and not on any side part of any politics or civic subject. It should be dealt separately, and it should be taught by legal qualified law professionals only. So thereby we can increase the employment opportunity. Centralized law university. There is one. Okay. Another suggestion is that in every law school there is a clinical legal aid. So linking that clinical legal aid with the police authority or the local self authority or the district legal services authority, so that whenever a person who needs any sort of help approach these kinds of authorities, they may refer that person to this law school. So it will be beneficial for that the person who is seeking service, and it will be very beneficial for the law students also. It will help. It will be a practical experience for them also.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's enough. Your name? Shifana, thank you for the suggestions. And it would be good if you could mention these suggestions and hand it over in a paper. Okay, let's move on to the next team. So who will be presenting your ideas from here? Yeah. We require 2 suggestions. Yeah. The best 2 suggestions you can say, others you can write it in a paper and give it. Yeah, you can say.
First, I hope I am audible. So first we were discussing about...
Yeah, good name?
My name is Jaishankar R. I am from Government Law College, Thrissur.
Yeah.
We have other colleges also. Anyway, so the first point that I wanted to introduce was that the government with ASAP and all need to provide courses so that students will be able to do drafting sessions, which are now available in Indian scenario. It is available. It is of very high cost. So affordable rate le ella kuttikalkku accessible aayulla reethiyil contract drafting, English grammatical writing skills. നമുക്കിപ്പോൾ നോർമലി ഒരു പേപ്പറുകളാണുള്ളത്, അതെല്ലാവരുടെയും സെമസ്റ്ററിലെ ഏറ്റവും അവസാനമാണ് ആ പേപ്പറുകൾ പറയുന്നത്. അതിന് പകരം അങ്ങനത്തെ കോഴ്സ് ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവ് എടുത്ത് കൊടുക്കുകയാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ഒരു അഡീഷണൽ സോഴ്സ് ഓഫ് ഇൻകം ആയി അത്. അപ്പോൾ പാർട്ട് ടൈം ജോബിന് വേണ്ടി പുറത്തു പോകുന്ന ആ ഒരു ഇത് നമുക്ക് മാറ്റാൻ പറ്റും. അതിന് പകരം ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ളത് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ലീഗലി അവർക്ക് ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റ് വരികയും ചെയ്യും, അവർക്കൊരു മീൻസിനുള്ള സ്കോപ്പുമാണ്. രണ്ടാമത്തെ കാര്യം ഞങ്ങൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്ത ഒരു ഓവറോൾ റീവാമ്പിങ് വേണം. അതായത് ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ടെക്നോളജി ലോ പോലുള്ള ലോസ്, ഇപ്പോൾ എൻവയോൺമെൻറ്റൽ ലോസിന് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇമ്പാക്റ്റ് കൂടുതലാണ്. കൺസ്യൂമർ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ലോ പുതിയ ആക്ട് വന്നതിന് ശേഷം ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ആക്ടുകളിലൊക്കെ സൂപ്പർ സ്പെഷ്യലൈസേഷൻ, അത് പോസ്റ്റ് ഗ്രാജുവേറ്റും പോസ്റ്റ് ഡോക്ടറൽ ലെവലിലും ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള സെറ്റപ്പുകൾ. ഇപ്പോൾ ടെക്നോളജി ലോ ഇപ്പോൾ കേരളത്തിലൊരു യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി LLM ഓഫർ ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. ഇപ്പോൾ നാഷണൽ ലെവലിൽ വളരെ കുറച്ച് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റീസിലുള്ളൂ. കേരളത്തിൽ ടെക്നോളജി ലോയിൽ അസോസിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തൊരു യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി കോഴ്സ്. പിന്നെ ഏറ്റവും അതിന് ആദ്യം വേണ്ടത് കേരളത്തിലൊരു സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ലീഗൽ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയാണ്. ഒരു സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ഈ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം കോർഡിനേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി ഒരു ലീഗൽ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി കേരളത്തിൽ വേണം. അവർ LLM ലെവലിലും അതിന് മേലുള്ള ലെവലിലും ടെക്നോളജി ലോ പോലുള്ള കോഴ്സുകൾ ഓഫർ ചെയ്യുക. ബെറ്റർ ഫാക്കൽറ്റീസിനെ പുറത്തുനിന്ന് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന്, അതിപ്പോൾ ബെറ്റർ ഫാക്കൽറ്റീസ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്ന ടെക്നോളജി ലോയിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യ അത്ര ഡെവലപ്ഡ് അല്ല. നമുക്ക് പുറത്തുനിന്ന് ഫാക്കൽറ്റീസിനെ കൊണ്ടുവന്ന്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇൻ വിച്ച് എവർ വേ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നെസസറി, അങ്ങനെ എക്സ്പെർട്ടീസ് ഉള്ള ആൾക്കാരെ കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് ക്ലാസ് എടുക്കാനും സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന് ഇൻ്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യാനും അങ്ങനെ എക്സ്പെർട്ടീസ് ഉള്ള ആൾക്കാരായിട്ടുള്ള അവസരം കേരള ഗവൺമെൻറ് ലെവലിൽ സ്കോളർഷിപ്പുകൾ പോലെ വെച്ചിട്ട് അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യാനുള്ളതാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ മെയിൻ സജഷൻസ്.
Okay, thank you. And next we'll move on to the third team who is presenting. In short, precise form, you can mention your 2 suggestions. Can mention your name and start.
എൻ്റെ പേര് അമൽ സൂര്യ, ട്രിവാൻഡ്രം മാർ ഗ്രിഗോറിയസ് കോളേജ് ഓഫ് ലോ എന്ന് വരുവാണ്. സർ, ഇപ്പോൾ പറയാനുള്ളത് ലോ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു നെഗ്ലക്റ്റഡ് ബ്രാഞ്ച് ഓഫ് സ്റ്റഡീസ് ആയിട്ടാണ്. കാരണം ആരും ഇതിനെ കാര്യമായിട്ട് കാണുമോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇതിന് വേണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്നുമില്ല. ഇപ്പോൾ ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ നമ്മളിപ്പം എല്ലാവർക്കും LLB മാത്രം മതി, LLM അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതുപോലുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ആരും ഇതിനൊരു പരിഗണന നൽകുന്നില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് കൂടുതൽ ആൾക്കാർ LLM വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് പുറത്തേക്ക് പോകുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ പഠിക്കാൻ ആവശ്യത്തിന് കോഴ്സുകളില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇത്രയും പേര് മൈഗ്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് പോകുന്നത്. യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി കോഴ്സ് അനുവദിക്കുന്നില്ല. ഇപ്പം നമുക്കിപ്പം ഇന്നോവേറ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കോഴ്സുകൾ ഇവിടെ അനുവദിച്ചു കൊടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിക്ക് പറ്റും. പക്ഷേ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി അത് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഇപ്പോൾ വിഴിഞ്ഞത്ത് പോർട്ട് വരുവാണ്. അപ്പോൾ മാരിടൈം ലോ കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി അണ്ടറിലുള്ള ലോ കോളേജിൽ LLM ആയിട്ട് കൊടുത്താൽ അത് നമുക്ക് അവിടെ ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് വരും. അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പോൾ ഭാരത് മാത MG കൊടുത്തു. ഇത് ഒന്നാം പിണറായി സർക്കാരിൽ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യമാണ് ഇന്നോവേറ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കോഴ്സ് കൊടുക്കണം എന്നുള്ളത്. അത് MG കൊടുത്തു, കാലിക്കറ്റ് കൊടുത്തു, കണ്ണൂർ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി കൊടുത്തു. പക്ഷേ കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഇതുവരെ കൊടുത്തിട്ടില്ല. കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ ഒരു 95% കോളേജുകളിലും ഇപ്പോൾ LLM പഠിക്കുന്നത് കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനാണ്. 1-2 കോളേജിൽ മാത്രം മറ്റേതെങ്കിലും സബ്ജക്റ്റ് പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ബാക്കിയുള്ള എല്ലാ സ്ഥലത്തും LLM കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അത് മാറ്റിയിട്ട് ഈ ആർബിട്രേഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ റിലേഷനോ IPR അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ മാരിടൈമോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കോഴ്സുകൾ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി കൊടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് തയ്യാറാണോ? പിന്നെ അതുപോലുള്ള കാര്യം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മൾ ഈ ഇന്റേൺഷിപ്പ് പ്രോഗ്രാം നമ്മളിപ്പം പഠിക്കുന്നത് തിയറീസ് മാത്രമേ നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കുന്നുള്ളൂ. ഇതിൻ്റെ സിലബസിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ട്രയലോ അതുപോലുള്ള പ്രാക്ടിക്കലായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ പഠിക്കുന്നത് കുറവാണ്. എന്നാലും വ്യക്തമായ രീതിയിൽ അത് നമുക്ക് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നില്ല. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഇന്റേൺഷിപ്പ് പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഇന്റേൺഷിപ്പ് ഇന്ന സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് ചാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിൽ ഈ കോർപ്പറേറ്റിൽ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി മേഖലയിലുള്ള ഇതും കൂടി ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തണം. എന്നാൽ മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് ഈ BCom അതുപോലുള്ള സബ്ജക്റ്റ് എടുത്ത് വരുന്നവർക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഗുണമായിട്ട് വരുന്നുള്ളൂ. പിന്നെ അതുപോലെ തന്നെ
Thank you. Let's hear from the next team. So let's give a clap to the 3 of the members who have presented their suggestions till now. And from the next team,
We have almost the similar ones. Basically,
if with any suggestion which are different from those, you can tell the others. You can mention.
Along with that, Law University, we wanted an updated syllabus which is very updated. Like the renewal should be done every now and then, like year-wise, so that we get the recent changes. We get updated with that. All that comes under Law University, and also an enrollment portal for the students of the college also, so that we get updated about all the things. Then government colleges basically lack a lot of infrastructure issues, so we want basic necessities also to be taken care there, which is least bothered nowadays. And we want a compulsory practical sessions also, which is to be handled by advocates. And seats for LLM should be increased. That is one for the students.
Thank you. Your name?
Malvika.
Thank you, Malavika. Hope you are not a team. Okay, let's hear from the next team. Your name, your institution, and then 2 suggestions in short.
My name is Mona Sadron. I'm from Government Law College, Trivandrum. The first suggestion, it was a mixture from everyone's. The first one being that the placements that are provided within the government colleges especially are very, very less. The internship opportunities, if you see when you go for a corporate internship outside Kerala, you find that no one would be ready to take up any student from Kerala. That's the reality. I've been there. And the second thing being that if you look at the engineering colleges, CET per se, they have placement opportunities, for example, from Bosch, from Amazon, etc. But when it comes to government law college, we just have a placement cell for namesake. We have absolutely no placements. So that's largely one reason. I mean, litigation I understand, but there might be people who want to go for corporate as well. So that's one suggestion, and Farzi has another.
Hello.
You can mention it. Only one member need to listen. You can mention it in a paper and give me. Okay, we can hear from the next team. Can mention 2 of your suggestions in short, and if rest you have, you can mention it in a paper. Complete suggestions.
Hi, this is Afreen. I am representing Noels and CSI Kottayam. So basically our suggestions are threefold. The first is that from the school level itself, there should be a focus on legal education, like constitution, civics, politics, legal rights. All of these should be focused. So there's an incentive right from the school stage to have a focus, that there's a career, there's a viable career in law. The second suggestion is with regard to the colleges level, and that's firstly that class should be made more accessible, the entrance examination should be made more accessible,
And also that the national university should also be more accessible in the sense that fee structure, accessibility in a lot of areas should also be significantly improved, because there's a lot of place for reform as of now. And the second is that within colleges itself, not everybody comes from a position where they know what exactly you're supposed to do in law school, because it's not just your academics that count, your extracurriculars count a lot as far as placements are concerned. So you should be able to, there should be a, let's say, a city-based database of legal professionals who are able to give you guidance, mentor you, give you internships, and give you viable like opportunities into the field basically, and also better internship opportunities for the colleges itself to mandate. Like the college itself should take a more central position with regard to internships. And finally, we'd like to also address the very toxic work culture that's prevalent in India. So the working beyond hours, the patronizing attitude expected of especially junior level employees should be addressed right at the grassroots. Yeah, the very hierarchy, the work-life balance, the lack of a work-life balance. There should be better implementation of wages, particularly for junior advocates, because the crowd is oversaturated now, and there's no incentive for labor to be given any welfare scheme. So that should also be.
The rest of the teams, just in short, in just a single minute, you can mention in short one suggestion, and the other you can write it down.
One suggestion. See, one suggestion ചോദിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ എന്തുകൊണ്ട് കുട്ടികൾ പുറത്ത് പോയി പഠിക്കണം എന്നുള്ളത്, one possible good solution would be inviting foreign faculties to the institutions here. Foreign faculties വരുമ്പോൾ സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് കോഴ്സസ് കൊടുക്കുക, so that എല്ലാ കുട്ടികളും പഠിക്കുന്ന കോളേജസ് ആരും അവർ വിചാരിച്ച കോളേജിൽ തന്നെ അഡ്മിഷൻ കിട്ടണമെന്നില്ല. So that would be one suggestion. And the second one is student exchange program. So where university boy korchal avda work ചെയ്യാം. This would be even applicable not only in the LLB level but also for LLM as well as for the PhD level. Anything to add?
Okay, thank you so much. You can mention a single suggestion, and then rest you can write it on. Okay, thank you so much. So we are winding up the session, and now you are requested. You can write it on. So now after this, please listen. Now we'll be moving back to the main hall, main venue, where you will be having a panel discussion at 3 o'clock. So you are requested to, the group team representatives are requested to write down, you have noted down, you can hand over the paper to me, your suggestions to me, and regarding any query on the availability of the buses, you can ask here. And in the same route you had come here, the same path you can be followed to reach the main venue. By 3 o'clock you have to assemble there. Before 3 o'clock, okay. 3 o'clock the session will start.
If anyone needed bus service, please tell now. Hello. So evening we have bus from Adlex Convention Center to Aluva every 15 minutes from 6:30 p.m. From Adlex Convention Center to Chalakudi every 30 minutes from 6:30 p.m. So these are the buses available not to Angamali, only to Aluva and Chalakudi. So if anyone needed, please give your names now.
തൃശ്ശൂരല്ലേ ഞങ്ങൾ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ
ഞാൻ അങ്ങോട്ട് പോട്ടെ സാർ കോളേജിൽ സാറിന്റെ അടുത്ത സമയത്ത് അല്ലല്ല സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് കൊടുക്കാൻ ഞാൻ വിളിക്കാം.